Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lauren Matuzzo. I'm the Marketing and Support Coordinator here at HeinOnline. I'll be your moderator for this session. I'm joined with Tim Hoagie, our Senior Director of Sales, and Steve Roses, our Director of Sales. But most importantly, we are thrilled to welcome our special guest, Donna Ravenhill, owner of Dandy Booksellers Limited. Today, we will be exploring various features and benefits of using HeinOnline and public information online, which is Dandy Booksellers' flagship product. We're also going to give a brief demo of our newest database, the UK Parliamentary and Government Publications Public Information Online. We're going to wrap up with a Q&A session at the end to address any questions that you might have. So feel free to use that Q&A feature at any time. Don't forget to stick around to the end to claim your $5 Starbucks gift card, and we have a special free trial incentive. So definitely stick around to the end. And without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Tim Hoagie to get us kicked off.
Thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you also for everyone that's attended. Thank you for coming. I see some names I recognize, and I appreciate you guys giving us your attention to this really great new database that we're offering. So what we want to talk about today primarily is why is researching in HeinOnline and public information online so valuable? And we call public information online PIO. So if we're saying PIO, that's why. If you're familiar with HeinOnline and our fully searchable, image-based U.S. congressional content, think about PIO as basically the British equivalent of that. So all of that important content that you're looking for would be available right at your fingertips, whether you're doing full text searching, looking for specific kinds of documents, looking for specific authors, and so on. Now, if you're familiar with the British system, or if you're someone like me who knows just enough to kind of get your hands dirty, Public Information Online is the resource that will provide you with all of that legislative information that you need to do the research that's most important to you. PIO is the essential resource for understanding the functions of the British parliamentary system. So it's a full suite of materials covering all of the UK. So that is everything from the Scottish Parliament all the way over to the Welsh assemblies. It's got you covered. And just like HeinOnline, PIO has unparalleled coverage. So with over 12 million pages of content, PIO provides much more material than any other database providers have. Now, PIO has been developed just like HeinOnline content that you may be used to using. And that means there's a high quality and attention to detail that you've come to expect from premier databases. It's image-based, it's fully indexed, it's full color with graphs, charts, and images. So let's move on and talk a little bit more about how it's not just a database, but what it means to research in PIO. So as I mentioned, PIO and HeinOnline provide a one-stop shop for historical research covering two highly influential governments on the geopolitical stage. That's the United States and the UK. Our comprehensive coverage of those two governments and their legislative systems provide you a very easy way to perform a comparative analysis of governmental actions and reactions throughout history, whether that's actions and reactions to one another or to other governments that they've been dealing with over time. Now, not only is this important for you if you maybe are participating in the legislative process, because you're able to see how legislations have been developed and changed over time. But it's also valuable as a resource for those who may be litigating in areas that surround different pieces of legislation. You can find the influences and reasons behind the legislative decisions that have been made. And of course, these resources are invaluable for students and educators who are looking for a deeper understanding of how major world governments have operated and interacted throughout history. So whether you're interested in environmental policies, international trade agreements, food and drug safety, or taxes, these resources are where you will find all of those topics and much more. Now, as I mentioned, public information online exists on its own, and it was developed as its own database. And what's so cool about that is when you purchase public information online, through HeinOnline, you gain access to not only that information within HeinOnline, but you also gain access to Public Information Online's own platform. This gives you the option and convenience to use PIO in whatever way you feel is most appropriate for you. It's all the same image-based, fully searchable content, just available in 2 different ways.
Okay, thanks, Tim. We are going to take a quick break here for a pop quiz. So I'm going to ask you to use that chat feature within Teams here. And our question today is, what is it called when a law goes back and forth between the House of Commons and the House of Lords? A, ping pong, B, batting, C, swinging, and D, yo-yo. So we'll give everyone a few seconds here to use that chat option and throw in your answers, and we'll see how everyone does. Got a lot of B's coming in. A lot of B's. We got a C and an A. All right, keep those answers coming. Give everyone about 10 to 15 more seconds. E definitely looks like our most popular choice here. Okay. The answer is A, ping pong. The phrase parliamentary ping pong is used to refer when a bill bounces between the 2 chambers. This phenomenon occurred, for example, over the course of 30 hours in March 2005 when the chambers deliberated the Prevention of Terrorism bill. So thank you all for participating. And we are going to move on to our featured content, and I'm going to hand it over to Donna to really give a deep dive into what we have to offer.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna. I would like to talk about what differentiates PIO from other parliamentary resources. First of all, the parliamentary coverage. We include all Westminster, Scottish, Welsh and Northern Ireland documents. Now, I need to make that clear to you that other parliamentary products don't include the devolved assemblies. House of Lords papers and bills, we go from 1901 to current. Other parliamentary resources go 1800 to 1910. House of Commons papers, our coverage goes from 2006-7 to current. Other coverage 18 to the 21st centuries. Hansard, our coverage is from 1803. We have scanned the bound volumes. Other coverage goes from 1803, but they've used the freely available XML. I'll go into that in more detail later. So our command papers go from 1900, other coverage 1833. Non-parliamentary material, we cover non-parliamentary material. Again, I'll go into the key documents. Other parliamentary products do not cover this. The standing committee debates, these are important, also known as the public bill committees. They started in 1919. PIO has them all on the database. They're rare and exclusive to us in PDF. The public general acts go back to 1900. The other parliamentary product does not contain that. Our database is updated daily, so any Hansard published today goes up today. Any report published today goes up today. We have over 45,000 PDFs with colour on PIO. Over 2,000 are large-scale maps. They can be A0 size. There's thousands of colour pages. Customers are entitled to copies of all subscribed content on PIO. Finally, the PDFs are created with top quality scanners. We believe our digitisation is second to none. Next slide, please. I'd like to talk about Hansard. So Hansard is the daily record of what was said in Parliament. Why did we digitise the bound volumes when Parliament historic Hansard was freely available? because we were told by the Law Society in the United Kingdom the reason the Parliament's historic Hansard is unreliable is that it contains mistakes. A few years ago, I was asked to investigate why a bill was still being discussed after it had been given royal assent. The reason was that the Parliament Historic Hansard had read the month incorrectly and had dated the discussion months after royal assent. What was worrying was that the date was totally incorrect. I can't remember what the exact months were, but I do remember the error wasn't understandable, e.g. reading June as July, but had misread two totally different months, e.g. May as August. Our PDFs are an exact facsimile copy of the printed material. Furthermore, on PIO, we have the HTML and the PDFs running a simultaneous search. So we believe there is no better place than Hein/PIO to view Hansard. You can download single or multiple pages from either platform. PIO digitisation of Hansard has allowed our customers to remove the bound volumes from their shelves, safe in the knowledge they have them on PIO. Additionally, we now have legal customers who are able to use our facsimile copies in court. I'd also like to discuss our colour copying. As I said, our digitisation has all been done in full colour, and I would like to discuss this map. So coal mining was always a very dangerous occupation, with 85,000 deaths between 1873 and 1953, and as many as 1,800 in a single year. Thus, much was done to learn from accidents and develop safer processes and methods of working. There are 148 command papers on PIO relating to explosions, disasters, causes and circumstances in coal mines. Here we look at command paper 331, the explosion at Chanters Colliery on the 6th of March 1957. You will find the report on PIO. There were 4 people killed immediately. 4 people died of injuries and 3 people had long-term injuries. The inspector concluded, "My investigation showed that the explosion was caused by an electric arc which was formed during the examination of the working switch to which power was still connected, when the top cover of the switch was twisted around and came into contact with live buzzbar in the presence of a body of inflammable gas." He went on to comment, "The majority of electrical accidents occur when men work on exposed live apparatus, either deliberately or accident, and the high number of accidents indicates the presence of these dangerous practices. There was no need to provide more regulations. What was required on the part of some electricians was a greater sense of responsibility. Comparatively, recent legislation requiring electricians to have higher qualifications should be a stimulus towards this end." On PIO, you will see the whole report, including the map that shows the roadways underground that are divided into 2 groups, those carrying fresh air into the workings, intake airways, and those carrying used air back out the return airways. The colour coding is key. If this map appeared in black and white, how would you know? It was not until recent years when Kellingweek Colliery closed in December 2015, bringing an end to deep coal mining in the UK. Next slide, please. So I'd like to talk about the unique content on PIO. So the Standing Committee debates, also known as the Public Bill Committee debates, are rare. There are now only 7 sets printed available in the UK. Hansard, as I said, we've taken all the bound volumes and digitised each page from 1803. And the Lord's Papers and Bills, we go from 1901 to current. A few years after launching PIO, customers came to us and said they would like us to digitise their archive. It is becoming increasingly valuable as many libraries are disposing of their physical hard copy collections in order to make space and save costs on storage, safe in the knowledge that they have access to these on PIO. Next slide, please. Our non-parliamentary material, as I said, this is not supplied on other products. We add all key non-parliamentary papers as they are published, but the archive is constantly evolving. We add content as it is donated. Please see a list of materials available on PIO. The Army list from 1969, the Air Force list from 1970, Annual Abstract of Statistics from the first copy in 1935 to 2020. British Imperial Calendar, which later came to be known the Civil Service Yearbook. The PDFs go from 1939 all the way through to 2018. The HMSO Annual Catalogues, 1919. This can be very useful to researchers trying to find material from 100 years ago. The International Agency Catalogues, 1986 to date, the Navy List, 1974, Regional Trends from the first one in 1974, and Social Trends from the first one in 1970. Next slide, please. I'd like to talk to you about the Civil Service Yearbook. You will find the PDFs on PIO, and more recently, you will find annual snapshots of the database. I would like to tell you why it's so important. In 2018, the Cabinet Office, on behalf of the Infected Blood Inquiry, took out a subscription to PIO because they needed to know who was in government in the 1970s. It is worrying how many government departments has discarded their official publications. We know how valuable our archive is, and we are pleased many libraries now rely on it and are no longer having to shelve thousands of bound volumes. Our archive continues to grow. We are constantly being asked to digitise material that is hard to find, most recently old government circulars. Here's my final slide, which I think is also key to PIO, the oral and written evidence. So these always used to be published in print, but they took a decision a few years ago to no longer do so. And this is a House of Commons report backed up by oral and written evidence. On the Parliament website, you will see Health and Social Care Committee second report, assisted dying, assisted suicide. The Volume 1 report will appear on the Parliament website, but the oral and written evidence contains 399 single PDFs on the Parliament website. What we do is download each and every one of the oral evidence and the written evidence, and we put it into one PDF, which accompanies the report. This report, the volume 2, is 1,701 pages and fully searchable. If you went back to the Parliament website today and tried to find the oral and written evidence associated to this report that was only published on the 29th of February this year, you would struggle to find this. So that's my belief on the key important parts of PIO, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Donna. We are going to switch gears, and I am actually going to stop sharing my screen so that Steve can get you a first-hand look at the HeinOnline interface.
Can everyone see my screen? Great. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Tim. We're excited to talk to you about this product as we've been doing. Want to show you actually how the product looks, the UK Parliament. You can see that just looks just like the HeinOnline homepage because it in fact is. And if we were to click on this material, just like any other, clicked on the wrong material. Well, that's a bad example. I'm going to do this again. So here we are, UK Parliamentary and Government. And here we are, you see it looks like very many different HeinOnline collections. You have the introduction on the first page of it, and then we have tabs that we've curated for you in all the key different areas so you can go into the product and browse. So if you wanted to browse all the titles at once, where would you go? You would go to the All Titles tab. But perhaps you want to go into the largest collection, which is the UK Parliament collection with 221,344 documents. you would go right here to UK Parliament. To browse the Scotland materials for the Scottish Parliament, you of course go to the Scottish Parliament. Northern Ireland Assembly, 13,356 documents, and you'd go here. And for Wales, you have the Welsh Parliament, the Scottish government materials over here. And then, as we mentioned, we have key non-parliamentary papers as well, 16,672 documents there. I want to show you the LibGuide. Many of you have seen our LibGuide, especially if you're an existing subscriber to HeinOnline. We have LibGuides for all our major collections. Let's open that. And you can see it's organized very much like our other LibGuides. We have a video for you. So if you need a quick reminder about the features and benefits of this PIO product, you can do that by clicking on the video. But we also have the overview, because you might want to know, a reminder of what papers are included, the documents. We give you search tips. We give you search tips in so many of these LibGuides. We do that here too. And then we tell you additional resources to go on to study the area, and we give you help resources. So definitely check out this, if you will. Now, as you may know from HeinOnline, there are two ways to search. When you're doing a query search, you can do the regular query search, or you can go to an advanced search. I'm going to, for example, throw in these phrases: Brexit, which many of you are familiar with, and nuclear and agreement. And this is just a search that I'm doing right here as a regular query search in here. Now, notice there are 3,960 results. We can refine our search, though. Well, we certainly could look at the 3,960, but we might want to limit things by date. So we'd click here and we could indicate what years. Maybe we want to only look at, say, 2018 to date. We might want to look at a specific document type, such as the UK Parliament, such as Scottish Parliament, or even this Welsh Parliament, for example. And you can see the numbers of documents for each of those for this result. And then you might want to look at specific titles. Of course, you can do that within the search, and even specific categories. For example, Hansard, or House of Common Papers, or say for Communities Dictorate. All of that very easy to use and very easy to go through things. But as I mentioned, there's also the advanced search, where you can have built-in proxy determinants, such as within 25, within 10, within 5. You can use and or not. You can even do a Venn diagram search. So that's very easy to use it all as well. Now I'm going to throw in a different search. This one, you may be familiar with. Margaret Thatcher, of course, was a key prime minister in the UK and in the 80s and 90s. And you may remember that she had something called a community charge, which was kind of like a head tax or a poll tax. So let's look at community charge and Thatcher, see if anything comes up here. And you'll notice we have 1,036 results, starting with right here, parliamentary debates, which is sort of analogous to various things we already have in HeinOnline in our congressional documents collection. But this, of course, is the UK equivalent. So once again, you can refine your search that way. And very important, you can take your search either by relevance. You can look by volume date oldest first, volume date newest first. So if I wanted to look volume date oldest first, starting with the older things, 1980 is the first result we have for this, and then you can keep scrolling down and it'll take you to more recent things, or you could reverse the order, etc. So it has all of that kind of features that you're used to from HeinOnline, but now obviously all this special PIO content. Thank you. And now I will stop sharing my screen.
Thanks so much, Steve, for that demo. As you can see here up on the screen, we just like to remind you that we do have free trial options here at HeinOnline. So if this is a product that you might be interested in, you can request our 30-day trial. We will be sending an email to everyone who registered, whether or not they attended the webinars. It's going to include all the presentation slides that you saw here today, as well as a recording on YouTube that you can watch at your convenience. In addition, we'll have all those and all the information about how you can request your trial, as well as a quote. Of course, if you're familiar with Steve, and Tim or your sales rep, maybe Roxanne, feel free to reach out to them directly to get those trials and quotes started today. Donna and Tim and Steve, we do have a few questions here. So before I get to them, I just wanted to point out some nice comments we had in here as well. We had someone saying that a color picture is worth 1,000,000 words for understanding, which absolutely. So I think that's a testament to Donna's slide about the colored map. We also had someone said this is why HeinOnline is so amazing. They have introductions and organization links, and we love those LibGuides. And I'm not sure if Steve mentioned this, so I apologize if I forget, but our LibGuides are shareable, so you can use them on your own websites. You can use our videos on your own websites as well. So be sure to be utilizing those help resources. All right, let's jump into our question. We have a few here. So the first one is, does PIO include Parliamentary Office of Science and Technology, the POST publications, and reports from the House of Commons in Lords libraries?
If it's a parliamentary paper, a House of Commons paper, or a House of Lords paper, it will be included.
Okay, and then the second question to that is, are there any plans to capture MP and Lords social media activity?
Oh, gosh.
That's an interesting one.
As you know, you will get access to PIO if you take the subscription to HeinOnline. And we do have Civil Service Yearbook on PIO, and the Civil Service Yearbook does link to Parliament and who the MPs are, and shows you their kind of bios. That could be expanded. I mean, obviously it links to their Twitter, but it could be expanded in the future to actually capture that data. But I think what we're really trying to be here is an official publication database where everything is absolutely as Parliament said it and how it was by a government department in the non-parliamentary. We don't want to get into arguments on Twitter or anything like that between people.
Sure. Okay, our next question. Does your collection include parliamentary consultations?
If they're command papers, often the consultation documents are command papers, and yes, they'll be in there.
Okay, great. And then it looks like, I think our last one here. Are these documents from Scottish Parliament or other parliaments different from what's available on legislation.gov.uk?
Legislation is all the statutory instruments, which we actually have on Public Information Online, all the public general acts, which we have on Public Information Online. Legislation doesn't contain the Commons papers, Lords papers, bills, Hansards. So I think what you've got to try and imagine, Public Information Online is bringing together lots of different resources. And it's obviously you're able to cross-search them all. So if you wanted to look at something that Parliament had said, and also something that the government departments and what had come from the legislation website, you'd be able to cross-search it all, and from the devolved assemblies.
Okay, that was our last questions. Maybe we'll give everyone just a few more seconds to see if there's any more coming in. We did have a comment, but the Twitter arguments are the best part. Make sure we haven't missed anything.
Can I just mention that we're happy to do a demo of PIO if anyone wants to have a look at it as well.
Okay, I think I think we've answered a lot of the questions here. So again, if you do have any additional questions outside of this webinar, that's what our sales reps are for. It's what Donna's here for. We're working together collaboratively. So if there's something we can't answer, she's obviously the guru in all of this. So we'll just reach out to her and make sure we get your answers. But again, if you are interested in our free 30-day trial, either reach out to our sales and marketing team, your sales rep directly, or you should be getting an email within the next day or two with all the information from the webinar. So thank you all for spending your time with us and have a wonderful rest of your time.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.